I am Koro, Senior Security Recorder of Station Velka 9. My job is simple. Sit in a corner. Watch trouble happen. Then write a report explaining why nobody listened to the warning signs. Normally those signs involve drunken minors, smugglers with bad tempers, or gamblers who believe probability is a personal insult. What happened tonight was different, because tonight a human walked into the wrong bar. Actually, correction. A human walked into the wrong bar for everyone else. The bar is called the Rusted Meteor. A wonderful establishment if your hobbies include illegal weapons trading, loud arguments, and occasionally throwing someone through a window. The owner, a six-armed creature named Javo, believes violence is simply a form of enthusiastic conversation. The place was busy. 3 Krogan brutes were arguing over a stolen cargo crate. 2 thin traders from the Rel species were whispering about smuggling routes. A giant mercenary called Brack sat at the center table polishing a blade the size of a door. Then the entrance door opened. Soft sound. Nothing dramatic. A human walked in. Average height. Dark jacket. Calm eyes. Slight stubble. Looked tired, like someone who had crossed half the galaxy and just wanted a quiet drink. The human looked around. Silence spread slowly through the bar. Not fear, just curiosity. Humans are interesting to aliens. Fragile looking. No claws. No scales. No armor plates. But they have a reputation. A very inconvenient reputation. The human approached the counter. Javo the owner leaned forward with a grin that contained far too many teeth. What will it be, traveler? The human answered calmly. Water. That was the first moment everyone knew something was unusual. Nobody comes to the Rusted Meteor to drink water. Javo blinked. Water? Yes. The human placed a small credit chip on the counter. Javo shrugged and filled a glass. The human drank slowly. Quiet. Peaceful. Which, of course, meant trouble was coming. Because Brack noticed him. Brack is the type of creature who believes respect is something you extract from others using intimidation. Preferably loud intimidation. He stood up. Heavy footsteps shook the floor. He walked toward the human and stopped beside the counter. You are new here. The human nodded slightly. Passing through. Brack leaned closer. This bar belongs to dangerous people. The human looked at him. I noticed. Now, this is where most travelers make a mistake. They apologize. They leave. They avoid conflict. The human simply finished his water, then said something remarkable. Is there a problem? Brack smiled slowly. Oh yes, there was about to be a problem. You were sitting in my place. The human glanced at the empty stool. I didn't know stools had owners. Somewhere in the bar, someone laughed quietly. That was not wise. Brack's smile vanished. You think you were funny? No. The human stood up calmly. I think you were bored. Now let me pause here. Aliens across the galaxy misunderstand humans in a very specific way. They assume calm behavior means weakness. Brack reached for the human's shoulder. Bad idea. Very bad idea. The moment his hand touched the jacket, everything changed. The human moved. Fast. Not dramatic. Not flashy. Just efficient. Brack's wrist twisted. His balance disappeared. A giant mercenary suddenly found himself flying across the room and landing on a table. Tables broke. Drinks spilled. The bar froze. Brack groaned and stood up slowly. He was not used to being thrown. His friend stood up too. For large fighters. One human. I prepare my recording device. This would be interesting. Brack cracked his neck. You made a mistake. The human sighed. I was afraid of that. One fighter charged. 3 seconds later, he was unconscious on the floor. Another attacked with a knife. The knife flew across the room and embedded itself in the wall. The owner Javo whispered softly, Oh, this is entertaining. Brack roared and rushed forward. Now, I must describe something important about humans. They do not fight like warriors who want glory. They fight like engineers solving problems. Every movement had purpose. Step, dodge, redirect force. Brack swung his massive blade. The human moved sideways. The blade destroyed a chair instead. The human grabbed Brack's arm, twisted, and the giant collapsed again. Silence filled the bar. For fighters down, one human standing calmly. The human adjusted his jacket. Then he said something that I will never forget. I only wanted a quiet drink. Javo leaned across the counter. You should come here more often. The human shook his head. No, I think I already caused enough damage. Then the door opened again. And this was when the real problem arrived. 5 armored bounty hunters walked inside. Their leader scanned the room, then pointed at the human. There he is. The human closed his eyes briefly. Oh no. The bounty hunter smiled. Yes. And suddenly everyone in the bar realized something terrifying. That human was not just a traveler. He was running from people far more dangerous than Brack. And those people had just arrived. The bar was no longer calm. Smoke drifted across the ceiling. A cracked table leaned sideways. 3 unconscious bodies lay near the door. The music machine still tried to play cheerful jazz, which somehow made everything feel worse. I stood frozen behind the counter. The human, Daniel Pike, sat casually on a bar stool as if none of this was unusual. He sipped his drink, slowly, calmly. Then he looked around at the destruction and sighed. Well, that escalated. I blinked my 3 eyes in disbelief. Escalated? Escalated? 4 armed bounty hunters had just tried to eliminate him. And he called it escalated? Across the room, Crag, the massive reptilian mercenary who started the trouble, was attempting to stand again. Bad idea. His legs shook like overcooked noodles. Daniel noticed him and tilted his head. Oh hey, you're awake. That's impressive. Crag growled weakly. You, human, you cheated. Daniel frowned. Cheated? Buddy, you brought plasma blades to a bar fight. He pointed to the room. I brought a chair. Crag tried to say something else, but then collapsed again. Daniel shrugged. Fair enough. Silence filled the room. Aliens slowly peeked from hiding places. Behind tables, under chairs, one insectoid bartender assistant crawled out of a ventilation duct. Everyone stared at the human. Daniel lifted his glass. Anybody else want to try something stupid? No. Great. He finished the drink. Then he gently placed the glass on the counter. I finally found the courage to speak. Human, what exactly are you? Daniel blinked. A guy having a drink. No, that is not correct. He leaned forward slightly. Okay, a guy having a second drink. I stared at him. This species made no sense. I pulled out a scanner tablet and checked his species profile again. Human. No claws. No venom. No armored skin. No enhanced strength rating. No combat modifications. Completely ordinary. And yet, the evidence was lying all over my floor. I swallowed. Why are you here? Daniel thought about that question seriously. Then he smiled. Vacation. Several nearby aliens gasped. Vacation. He continued casually. Space travel's fun. My ship stopped for refuel. I saw a bar, figured, why not? He looked around again. Well, it was nicer before the bounty hunters. At that moment, the front door slid open. Another figure stepped inside. Tall, armored, calm. The entire room froze again. Even Daniel looked curious. The newcomer spoke in a cold, mechanical voice. Daniel Pike, you are wanted by the Galactic Security Council. The room collectively panicked. The Galactic Security Council did not send ordinary officers. They sent enforcers. And enforcers did not lose fights. Daniel leaned back on his stool. Ah, great. Bureaucracy found me. The enforcer stepped forward. You have violated 17 interstellar regulations. Daniel scratched his head. Only 17? That's a personal record. The enforcer ignored the comment. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Daniel looked around the destroyed bar. Then he looked at the unconscious bounty hunters. Then back to the enforcer. Quick question. The enforcer paused. Proceed. Daniel pointed at the floor. These guys try to collect the bounty on me first. Technically, that makes this self-defense. The enforcer processed that statement for several seconds. Explain. Daniel stood up slowly. The entire bar held its breath. But he did not attack. Instead, he walked to the counter, pulled a small data chip from his pocket, and placed it down. Evidence. The enforcer scanned the chip. Video recordings appeared in the air. Crag threatening the human. Weapons drawn. First attack initiated by the bounty hunters. The enforcer analyzed the footage. Then something unexpected happened. He nodded. Your claim is valid. The entire bar gasped. Daniel smiled. See? Told you. The enforcer turned toward the door. The bounty contract has been canceled. The attackers will be detained. Then he paused. Human Daniel Pike. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Yeah. The enforcer looked at the wrecked room. Please attempt to reduce property damage in future encounters. Daniel looked embarrassed for the first time. Yeah, that's fair. The enforcer left. Just like that. No battle. No dramatic arrest. Just paperwork. And leaving. Silence filled the bar. Then every alien in the room slowly turned to stare at Daniel again. He sighed. Okay, this has gotten awkward. I looked down at the shattered tables. The cracked walls. The unconscious criminals. Then back at him. You destroyed half my bar. Daniel nodded sympathetically. Yeah, sorry about that. He reached into his jacket and placed a credit chip on the counter. My scanner beeped. The number made my heart skip 3 beats. It was enough money to rebuild the entire place twice. Daniel smiled. Drinks were good, though. Then he turned toward the exit. Right before leaving, he looked back at me. Oh, one more thing. I nervously waited. If anyone asks about tonight, he grinned. Tell them a human walked into the wrong bar. He opened the door. For them. And then he left. Just like that. The room stayed silent for several long seconds. Finally, one small alien at a nearby table whispered the thought everyone was thinking. We should never start fights with humans. I looked at the destroyed bar, then at the door where Daniel Pike had disappeared, and I slowly nodded. Yes. A long pause. Absolutely yes. And that was the day the entire galaxy learned something important. Starting a fight with humans is easy. Ending it is not. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to subscribe.